What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Horsepower Obsessed. Today is an amazing day. It's a fantastic day because it's actually a nice day here in Pennsylvania. And what that means is it's finally time. It's finally time we get to take out the C7 Corvette ZR1. Let's unwrap this beauty and get started. All right, guys, so I have done in the past a winterization video for the C7 Corvette, and this is going to be the opposite. So this is going to be kind of a video showing you what you want to do after winterization on your car. When the weather finally gets back to normal, what you got to do to bring it back up to speed. So there's a couple different things we're going to do today, but the first one is going to be finally uncover this thing. Now, obviously with winterization, one of the steps that I told you about in previous videos was to clean it. So when we take this cover off, the car is already clean and ready to go. But there are a couple other things you want to do, especially if you do store your C7 Corvette for any length of time. We're going to get into all that stuff, guys, so stay tuned. But first things first, let's get this cover off. Here we go. The first corner. This car hasn't seen daylight since November of 2020. Wow, yeah, look at that. Nice and shiny, nice and clean, ready to go. This is what I'm talking about, guys. I'm super excited to finally get back into this car. I have had my picks of Corvettes, but at the same time, this one it really has my heart, and it is a fantastic car. I'm so freaking happy to get it out on the road today because it's actually nice here. Like I said, it's almost 70 degrees here in Pennsylvania. It's about freaking time. Now, one of the things we're going to talk about before we completely uncover this thing is one of the more natural things that have to happen in the world in order for this to be ready to come out, and that is all the rocks, all the salt, all the winter grime has to be gone off the road. And the best way to make sure that that is the case is typically a nice heavy rainstorm or 2 or 3. So basically we just had a gigantic rainstorm here, and I know that that helped clean up the roads and get some of that salt and rock off the road. So these very sticky Sport Cup 2s don't take everything and just sling it at the rear of the car. Even though this is fully protected with XPEL, it's still not exactly something I want to have happen. If you guys are really interested in protecting your babies, make sure that you get at least 1 or 2 good rains before you go to take this thing out. But let's finish uncovering this beauty. So we'll just grab it right here, just start pulling it up and off. This is an extremely soft cover, so there's really no chance of scratching anything, especially since, like I said, the car was clean when we put it away. But yeah, look at that. Look at that. God, I love this freaking car. So we'll just finish this up. Oh my goodness. It's been so long. It's been so long. I love it. I love it. Guys, what do you think? What do you think of the C7 Corvette in general, specifically the ZR1? I love this car. It is so fun to drive because of that manual transmission. Now, the C8 is obviously a beast of its own, but that automatic, while it is fantastic, it does take away a little bit of the fun for me. What do you guys think? Let me know down below what your thoughts are between the two. But anyway, let's finish uncovering this thing. And there it is, guys. Check that out. Yeah. All right, so this will be the second thing we're going to talk about here. Obviously, I had a microfiber towel there to help not scratch anything with the battery tender hanging out. We're going to get to that in a second. Yes, perfectly glossy carbon fiber. Gotta love it. All right, so we will wrap this thing up, and we're pretty much done with the cover. Car still looks perfectly clean. Perfectly good to go. And there it is, guys. Look at how freaking awesome this thing looks. It's finally unwrapped, ready to go for the most part. The next thing we're gonna do is go ahead and check the tire pressure. This is something you should do regardless, but for me specifically, I actually pump these up about 5 to 6 PSI over 30, which is what the recommended PSI is, just to prevent or help prevent flat spots. What I'm gonna do is knock down the PSI back down to 30 where it should be, because obviously the tires are cold at this point. Like I said, even if you don't bump them up like I do, you should still check them before you take the car out for the first time, just to be safe. And here we are at the driver's side front. We have what looks like 29.2, so we are pretty much good to go now at this point. I like to keep it right around 30, but a little room for growth. Whenever these things get hot, we want them to be just slightly under aired, in my experience at least. Next, you're going to want to pop your hood and make sure that there is no creatures that have made their nest in here of any kind, because depending on how well protected your garage is, that could be a real valid concern. So pop this, make sure nothing has put a nest or chewed off any of your belts or anything crazy. That's a good idea to make sure there's nothing living in here before you start the car for the first time. The next step would be dependent on how you stored it. So when you put it away for the winter, either you change the oil before you put it away, or you change the oil right after you get it out for the summer or springtime. Now for me, I typically change it right before I take it out for the first time, but today I don't have the time to do it, so I will be changing the oil in this car tomorrow. Stay tuned for that video as well. But basically, that would be what I would do next at this point, is jack the car up and change the oil. But since we're gonna skip that step for now, the next thing we're gonna do is actually open up the door. And I'm gonna show you something a little bit interesting that I had to come up with, because yeah, there was a problem a couple times. So with the door open, right on the seat, we see this. Yeah, that's a warning to remove that battery tender. So I actually had this printed, I made it and then laminated it so I could set it on my seat so I didn't forget it. Because of the fact that the battery tender is over on the passenger side, I have gotten into this car and my C7 Corvette Z06 and started to leave before disconnecting that battery tender. If you guys are interested in something like this, let me know down below. I thought this was a pretty interesting way of reminding myself that this thing needs to be disconnected before you drive off with it and destroy a bunch of stuff. So yeah, this is the next step. We're going to disconnect the battery tender and really get this thing ready to go. Here we are at the back of the car. We'll just go ahead and pop the hatch so we can start getting this battery tender out. Now, like I said, this is something that a lot of people have driven off with. I know even my friend Jason over at Front Seat Driver managed to make it a good bit down the road before he realized his was still attached. So this is not something that only stupid people do or anything. This is a common mistake, because especially if your garage is set up like mine, where your power outlet's here, your battery tender plugs in on the passenger side, but you get in from the driver's side. This is something that's kind of out of sight, out of mind type ordeal, and it causes problems, trust me. So if you don't have something to remind you that this is plugged in, you're gonna run into this sooner or later. But anyway, this is obviously just an easy unplug, just like that. I will also unplug it from the wall, because we're probably done with it for at least a little while, hopefully. You never know with Pennsylvania. And then of course we're gonna remove the microfiber towel that was helping prevent scratches, and then we're gonna go ahead and close the hatch, just like that. Now we are ready to start this thing up for the first time in 2021. So before we go ahead and get into this cold start, I had to grab my keys for the C7 Corvette ZR1, and I totally forgot that I had my local detail shop, Blackout Tinting in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, wrap my key. Yes, you heard right. We wrapped the key of the C7 Corvette, and yeah, look how freaking awesome that looks. So as usual, guys, you can get these key tags on my website. I will link in the description down below, but this is the thing that really steals the show. If you guys are local to Latrobe, Pennsylvania, or even if you're not, I would highly recommend stopping up there, talking to Josh, and getting stuff like this done. I mean, this just really takes your car and makes it yours. Little touches like this. I absolutely love it, guys. But enough talk. Let's cold start this baby. Guys, that AWE exhaust sounds fantastic on the C7. I freaking love it. If you guys love that as much as me, check out my website down below. You can buy it from there as well. Anything you buy from my website helps support the YouTube channel, so go ahead and check it out, if for nothing else, just to see how I did on the website. Let me know what you think down below. Obviously, we're gonna let this warm up for a little bit. It has been about 5 to 6 months since the car's been driven, so we want to kind of let everything get warmed up, everything get acclimated to being driven again before we go out and start ripping on anything. So this is why I kind of recommended changing your oil before taking the car out, because it's always a good idea to have fresh oil if you're going to take it out for the first time of the year and start pushing its limits. But guys, this thing sounds so freaking awesome. I love this car so much. This car's been taking a lot of my attention back here because, you know, the C8 is popular and it's awesome in its own right, but at the same time, this thing is just something else. It is such a freaking beast. I can't wait to get behind the wheel. Let's go. Let's do this thing. So while we're sitting here letting the car warm up, I wanted to tell you guys about one other thing I got. I'm going to make a full video on this later, but I just wanted to quickly mention this. A friend of mine named Todd over at Etsy sells these really cool phone holders. So you guys know I have my ProClip here. I really love this thing. It really works out well. But Todd is selling these 3D printed creations for the C7 Corvette that look really, really freaking awesome. And here it is right here. Now, you may be looking at that saying, well, what the heck is that, Justin? Well, if you open up the cup holder here, you can actually remove the stock center divider thing, and this fits right in there. Now, we push down on that, it fits right into the same spot, and now it gives you a much more defined cup holder. So if you put something in there, it's not going to fall out. But the coolest part is this. So what that is actually a phone holder. Now, he can make these completely dependent on your phone size. If you have an iPhone, he can cut it so it fits the iPhone perfectly, or he can cut it a little bit bigger so it will fit your iPhone plus a case. So this one is made for my phone. I have a Pixel 5, and it literally just slides right down in there like that. And it is held in there really tight while we're driving. But what's even cooler is that there's a cutout in the back to allow the power plug to be routed down through and plugged into the phone while it sits in there. Like I said though, I'm gonna go a little bit more in detail with this in the future, so stay tuned for that video. But for now, Todd over at Etsy is making these, and if you guys buy it from the link in the description below, you will save 5% on the price. Stay tuned for the full video going deeper into detail as to why this thing is awesome. But let's go ahead and get this thing out on the road where she belongs. Check that out, guys. Just flipped over to 8901, but it was at 8900. That is how many miles is on this CR1 right now. We're out. It is 64 degrees, so it's supposed to get even warmer, but yeah, listen to that. She's not bad. Not bad. I'm enjoying it a lot, but yeah, guys, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. So if you liked what you saw, go ahead and give me a big thumbs up. If you have any questions about anything we talked about in the video, leave them in the comment section down below, or shoot me an email and I'll make sure you get an answer. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, please do. I'm going to have loads of content like this coming. You are not going to want to miss it, guys. So as always, I'll catch you in the next one.